All right, first of all, let me welcome everybody to Monday Morning Chalk Talk. This is Mike Waters. It's been a couple weeks since we done one of these Chalk Talks, so I'm definitely excited to be back at it. Just going to give it a couple minutes to let everyone check in. I see we just went live on Instagram as well. Let me adjust the camera real quick. Yep, so we just went live on IG. We're also live on Facebook and YouTube, all at the same time. So just checking in on a Monday morning. Once again, this is Monday Chalk Talk with Mike Waters. Today, we have a very specific topic, and you guys know how I like to do on Monday Morning Chalk Talk. I don't want to waste too much of your time. I just want to take a couple minutes, just hopefully give you a little bit of perspective, a little bit of thought, a little bit of motivation into this new week, which is why we do it Monday morning. So today's topic is very simple. Today's topic is staying focused through all the distractions. What's up, Paul? I see you checking in on IG. What's going on, man? How you doing? See people checking in, man. Y'all make sure, man. Y'all go ahead and throw a shout out or something up, man, so I could acknowledge you, man. I appreciate you guys checking in if you're on YouTube and Facebook. Just go ahead and comment, and that'll come right through the live, so that way I can see what we got going on. Everybody on IG, you already know what to do. Just go ahead and type it in right there, and just wanted to check in with everybody. We'll wait a couple more minutes before we get into the topic today. Once again, today's topic is very simple, very clean. Today's topic is how to stay focused through the distractions. You know, there's a lot going on right now, obviously a lot going on in our world. We came fresh off quarantine, right into protest, which ultimately turned into, the riots and looting and a little bit of everything. But, through it all, I haven't really spoke much on that topic, so I'll address it very briefly here because that's not what today's Chalk Talk is about, but I will address it briefly. I feel like what's going on with the protests and the levels that it's gotten to is necessary. I feel like it is necessary. I feel like we definitely need to see change. We need to see it on so many different levels, not just for me, not just the singular level of, police brutality, which I think is the primary focus because we're talking about human lives. We're talking about actual people, going through these tragic experiences, which I think is unacceptable. And I'm sure most of the people that follow me that are on my pages would agree. I know, I'm one of those people that, have friends in every single race and every nationality. So I know people around me feel the same exact way. The second part is I feel like there's another level of distraction or social injustice, I'll call it, that's institution based. Yes, we do play a role in where we're at, but there's been a lot of suppression and a lot of structural, systematic things that have been in place that have really done a great job of keeping Black people, especially young Black men, in a certain mindset. And for those that know me, in my area that I come from, we got to see it often, but in today's time, I feel like it's people like myself. I see Lonnie Berry checking in, people like Lonnie Berry checking in. It's people like us that are pouring back into these youth, back into the next generation, back into not only the next generation of young Black kids that remind us of us, but also other, white kids, other kids that we're bringing them all together, even through sports, we're bringing them together to create a different mindset and a different narrative. So, we're definitely doing our part on that as well, and I feel like that's a big part of it. So you definitely have the, like I said, the, Black Lives Matter movement, which I'm totally 100% for. And I think it is definitely necessary that we see change. but I would also love to see it on a institution or a system level as well. And some of the black, black leaders in the communities really invest more time into the next generation, man, so they can see something different. Sometimes when you're in those environments, it's hard to see that there's another opportunity or, there's another direction. For me, a big part of phase one and me being around so many young athletes, majority of which are probably, young black kids, and basically taking that energy and using their sport to not only just get a scholarship. I mean, that's obviously the goal. That's what we want, because we want them to go off to college, get a different experience, get to travel, and just see something different. But in reality is we're trying to teach them the discipline. We're trying to teach them, the characteristics of what it takes to be successful, and that's what that's what I'm into. I know Coach Barry, I know that's what he's into. I see some other trainers chiming in right now or jumping in. I know that's our mindset. So I did want to say that and just kind of address that openly before we get, deeper into the actual topic today. So that's basically why we haven't been on Chalk Talk for the last 2 weeks. I just didn't feel, in my spirit that it was a good time to come on to talk about, business and these things when our whole country is just going through it. So not that it's over. I know this is still the beginning, but hopefully this ties all together and motivates somebody out there. And hopefully there's some people out here on this that may not completely understand it, may not completely even agree with it at this time, but hopefully, by talking to people like myself and other, young black, people in the community, hopefully you get a better perspective of what it is and what it means to us when we say it or when we stand up for it. So with that said, I see people chiming in. Got Tony checking in. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Who else we got checking in? Got my cousin over there, Anthony. What's up, man? Nice to see you. Yep, that's another one that's in the community working with these, young athletes and just teaching them something different. DA Shorty.20, Black Lives Matter. We need justice, 100%, 100%. And I agree, 100% with that. And this is what I want to say. We definitely are getting closer. I can say when this first started, I was probably one of the ones that was, pessimistic, feeling like it's just going to be another protest. Nothing's going to change, and now after a couple weeks in, I'm like, for the first time, I'm like, okay, maybe people are starting to get it. Maybe not just the government, because I know they'll be last, but not just the government, but I think other people are starting to get it. I'm seeing, other races. I'm seeing white people chime in and really put themselves in our shoes to try to see it from a different perspective. And that's been truly, truly a blessing to see that. Of course, there's always going to be some that don't, some that think we're overdoing it. There's always going to be some that think, this is unnecessary. But in reality, it's very easy to say what is not necessary or what's over the top when it's not you, when it's not your brother, when it's not your son, when it's not your father. It's easy to say, we pushing it over the top or whatever the case may be. So I just want to chime in, man. And the last thing I'll say on that part of it, on the the Black Lives Matter side of what I wanted to talk about today, the last thing I'll say is the people that are in the communities, the people that are in these situations, we still have to have a certain level of responsibility to teach the next generation that there's other outlets. And here's something that I thought about just the other day. And then I'll get into some of these comments as well. But here's something that I thought about the other day. In my community growing up, which I see a lot of people from Morovia jumping on, there were certain people in our community that may have not been you know, doing the right thing in the sense of, you know, maybe they were in the streets, maybe they were, you know, gang banging, maybe they were, you know, selling drugs, you know, and they were in the community. And we got to see it and witness it and live it. And as a young man, I remember seeing those people and seeing people making money and basically not being able to really put it all together mentally at that time. But here's where I'm going with this. Some of those same exact people were the same people that pulled me aside, pulled other friends of mine aside and said, hey, this is not it. You know, this is not the way you want to go. You know, yeah, I'm doing this. Yes, I'm whatever age, or I've been doing this for this long. You know, for me, this is what I'm doing. But for you, you need to want more. You need to do something different. You know, and I remember multiple people, I won't say any names because I don't want to, tie the gap together. But at the end of the day, I know there's people on here that had people in your community, especially if you grew up where I grew up at in Monrovia. There was people that were doing certain things in the community, but they always took an interest in us, in the next generation. They didn't just say, man, follow me, do what I'm doing. No, a lot of them were like, I better not catch you doing what I'm doing. You know, I remember specific people literally grabbing me going, hey, nope, we're not doing that. Not doing it. Unacceptable. And I'm like, but you're doing it. And they're like, that's me. You're going to be different. You know, and that's the mindset that I think is to me the third piece to the puzzle. The first piece being, you know, police brutality and things like that. I mean, even me growing up, I remember being pulled over. I remember having to sit on the curb, being handcuffed, all that, all of it. You know, luckily it never went to the extreme levels. And the sad part is, to us, that was normal. Like, we didn't even look at it as a negative or like, oh, they tripping. That was just what it was. We expected that, you know, and it's sad that at 15, 16, 17 years old, we expected that kind of treatment. And it just lets you know how deep it was. I mean, when the police pulled off or when they arrested someone, we didn't look at it as, oh man, police brutality. We looked at it as that's our normal life. You know, that's kind of what we were used to. You know, I've had the police run in my house, my friends, I've experienced it all, you know, so we do need to. That's number one. Number two is we need to get better when it comes to educating our young Black people on finances, on, you know, money management, on, you know, just life skills and also entrepreneurship. I feel like we have a strong gift of entrepreneurship that runs deep. You know, we have it. We've had to figure it out. And I think there's a lot of young Black people out there that have the brain, they have the drive, but what they don't have is a lot of examples. You know, and that to me becomes the most valuable thing is we have to be examples. You know, if you're doing something positive in the community, you have a business, you're a leader in your field, you're even corporate, even if you have a great job, you're executive at your job, whatever it may be, you have to be the example to the next generation. They have to see success. You know, it's, you know, and I'll tell you like this, I appreciate that Earl saying he's optimistic about the times. Me too, man. Earl, thank you for checking in on that. So here's my point. We have to be the examples. We can't wait on the government to respond. We can't wait on other people to respond. We have to. And that's not to say if you're white, if you're Hispanic, or you're not Black, that doesn't mean that you're not a part of this. We need you as well. We need you to help educate as well. We need you to go to the community, back to we need you to go to the inner city. We need you to invest time in the youth, into the at-risk youth, so they can see you as well. You know, they need to see that all white people aren't against them. You know, all white people don't look at all Black people as like superior or they're superior to, they need to see that as well. So this isn't about Black, white. This is about, if you care, make sure you are doing something to pour back into this community, back into different communities, wherever you may be. You know, for me, here's a prime example. I remember, you know, certain business people in our community. I remember those people that had businesses and things like that. And I remember watching them and being impressed by them as a young man. There was a couple key people, Agar Barnes. If you're from Morovia, Agar was one of the ones that, when Agar would come down the street and he had his big boat and big Suburban, and as kids, we'd be like, man, that's it, but that was one that I could remember. We need more. My father worked his butt off, drove trucks for 25 years. So I got to see the work. I got to see that work ethic, and I have a lot of that in me. My mother was an entrepreneur as well, so I have that in me, but aside from that, the ones that are really successful, because here's the only comparisons. When you in some of these communities, your two comparisons are entrepreneurs, business owners, corporate people that look like you, that you can see. And then there's the dudes that are the people that are doing it, selling drugs, have the nice cars, have the money, they pimps, they doing whatever it is that they're doing in the streets to make money. And those are the two examples. But the sad part is, which one do you think has more examples? If we go to some of these communities where there's a high level of poverty and things like that, who do you think are the examples? Is it are there more business owners in those communities? Are there more drug dealers in those communities? Is corporations coming to those communities saying, hey, here's a job fair, here's an education, here's a scholarship? Or is it the guy standing on the block saying, man, I know you broke, I know you need some money, come hang out with me? All of us, the people that I'm seeing, I'm watching these names pop up. I'm watching the names pop up. And I know these are people that are in our community, that are still connected to the community, that are doing positive things. We need you. You got to get into the communities. You got to go back to the community center. You got to go back, to whatever the little ghetto elementary school is. You got to go talk to the kids. We got to go talk to the kids. We got to walk in and they got to see, hey, what does he do? Oh, he's got a nice car. He's dressed nice. He speaks well. What does he do? That's who we have to become. If we don't become that, how can we expect our next generation to really have that change? It's hard. A lot of people that, are people that are close to me, I'm a big fan of Jay-Z. Here's an example. I've been a fan of Jay-Z since 98, 99-ish. So before the billionaire status, before, everything that he's accomplished. And the reason being, because I read the story about how, record labels turned him down. I listened to the music where he talked about how they had to start their own and create their own. And then I watched as he grew. And now I see where he's at today. But here's why I'm mentioning that. By the time I was 25, 26 years old, I did not have a lot of people that I can look at as examples, as role models. I didn't have an uncle, dad, best friend's dad that had a company that was worth multi-millions, that was successful, that had the Bentley and had the cars and the house and all the stuff that I felt like I wanted at 25. There was no example. So what I did when I started following Jay-Z's path, blueprint, quote unquote, blueprint, when I started following it, it was because I had to reach for somebody that resembled me. Somebody that was successful at the highest level, somebody that was working through all the ups, downs, especially someone that was young, someone that was black, someone that was told that they could not do it and figured out a way to do it. That's why we followed. That's why I listened to it. That's why I listened to every song. That's why I read the book, because I needed an example. So what I'm saying today, to my, to everyone that's on this and everyone that hears it at a later time. Hopefully you guys are going to share this, to your young people, but this one is not for them. This is for them, but it's not for them. This is for us so we can go back and affect them. That's what this is. This is for us. These are for the adults that are on this call, on this conference, on this video that are watching. It's for us. When is the last time you've been in the community? When is the last time you went and fed, spoke at an elementary school? When is the last time you helped feed the homeless? When is the last time you really got back out in the community and said, let me show them something different? You remember it. You remember it. You remember when you were young and you were at that school, and you remember when when that speaker came, when that person came, and that person was, whatever, could have been anybody, could have been the president of the bank, could have been, an athlete, could have been somebody that you sat there as a little kid and you went, oh, that's so cool. You left there excited. You left there with hope. That's what we got to breathe. We got to bring that. That's the only way I see it changing. We can rely on the government, and I'm grateful for all the protesting and especially the peaceful protests that are making a difference. I see that. I value that. I love it. But I do want to say we have to do our part. If we don't, then there won't be a difference. As simple as that. If we don't do it, it won't be a difference. So if we're going to expect change, we have to start with us. We have to. And when I say us, I'm not talking about Black people alone. I'm talking about everyone that really, truly believes that Black Lives Matter. Show it. Don't just post it. Don't just do the blackout. Show it. Get out there. Show them something different. Be a big brother. Be a big sister. Show them. Show them. To me, people that know me close, that's really ultimately what Phase One is. When I started Phase One Sports, it was very simple. It was everything I wish I had growing up. I wish I had mentors. I wish I had someone to help me athletically. I wish I had someone that invested in my future, into my career as a football player. That's what I wish I had. And so that's what we've created. Now, even myself and my business, we got to get out in the community even more. We have our Phase One foundation. We got to do even more. Last year, we did 5 or 6 youth camps, all the inner city community centers here in Las Vegas. We did that, but we got to do more. We got to do more. If we're going to expect change, then we have to do more. So that's all I got. Obviously, this is a little rough, but it is what it is. I'm going to close it out. Hopefully you guys share it. Hopefully there's some value here. Let's make a difference. See you guys on the next one.